All right, can you raise your right hand? Yeah. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. If you will keep your voice up so that the members of the jury can hear and the attorneys and court reporter can hear. If you'll state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
My name is Christian Valadez, last name Valadez.
All right, state.
Officer Valadez, who do you currently work for?
The San Antonio Police Department.
And how long have you worked for SAPD?
Almost 5 years.
And what unit are you currently assigned to?
East Patrol B shift.
And East Patrol, what area does that encompass?
The southeast portion of town. I have to look on a map to tell you the borders, but basically the southeast portion.
And were you working on March 31st of 2022?
Yes, sir.
And did you have to respond to a call on that day?
Yes, sir.
Where did you have to respond to?
I responded to a shooting in progress at the East Meadow Apartments.
And that's what side of town is that on?
About southeast off Walter Street, about Walters and 35 area.
And that's in Bexar County?
Yes, sir.
And were you the first officer to arrive at that scene?
No, I believe I was the third or fourth officer.
And were you the handling officer for that scene?
Yes, sir.
Why were you the handling officer?
The shooting was in my district, and because I was able to gather more, better understanding of what had actually happened, so I took report responsibility.
And what were the other officers doing while you were gathering this information?
Applying first aid to the victim, and I believe another one was looking for a crime scene.
So I'm gonna approach you with what's being marked as State's Exhibit number 2. What is this?
I believe that's a copy of my body-worn camera from the day of the shooting,
And how do you know it's your body-worn camera?
because I viewed the videotape.
Have you marked the disc in any way?
Yes, I signed it and then dated it.
Your Honor, state what Auburn State's Exhibit number 2.
Just for clarification, does this video have audio or is it muted?
It's muted.
If it's muted, Judge, we have no objections, and we also have no objections. It's going to be played from a laptop, assuming it's a true and accurate copy from what's on the disc.
All right, state's exhibit number 2 is admitted without objection.
Fast forward video to 16:01:12. So what are we seeing here, sir?
I'm making location, and I'm speaking with a gentleman who stated that he applied first aid to the shooting victim. He's informing me that
Objection,
he
Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustained.
Without going into detail, sir, what are you doing?
gathering information of what happened.
And do you ever approach the complainant in this case?
You mean the caller?
The victim, sir.
Yes, sir. I just briefly see what's going on, but I return to gathering information.
Do you speak to anyone else at that scene?
Yes, sir.
But who do you speak to?
Witnesses of what occurred.
Do you remember the name of the specific witness you spoke with?
One in particular, yes.
What was that name?
Miss Lewis?
Do you remember her first name, sir?
Not really.
And did you write a report in this case, sir?
Yes, sir.
And would reading that report would it help refresh your recollection?
Of her name, yes.
I'm gonna approach with your report. If you can. Take a look at the report. Please don't read off of it, but once the memory is refreshed, please answer the question.
Okay, yes.
What was her name?
Isalivone Lewis.
Excuse me. Could you spell that for the court reporter, please?
Yes, ma'am. It's Ezalavonne.
Thank you, sir. So right now you were at the point where you were just trying to gather information.
Yes.
And when you spoke with Miss Lewis, generally, what did she tell you?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustained.
Did she give you any details as to what happened?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
Did she give you a description of who may have done something at that scene?
Yes.
Did she give you a description of any vehicles that may have been involved?
Yes.
And were you able to walk around the area with Miss Lewis?
Yes.
Where did you walk around? Where did you go with Miss Lewis?
She took me around the corner to the parking lot initially where the alleged crime occurred.
And did you make sure to, I guess, leave Miss Lewis to be interviewed by a detective later?
Yes.
Where did you place Miss Lewis? Do you remember?
She was placed in the back of a patrol car until a detective arrived on scene.
But you weren't the person that interviewed her, right?
No.
So at that point, did you stay at the crime scene?
Yes, sir.
Where did you go after you spoke with Miss Lewis?
To my car to contact follow-up unit and to notify supervisors of what I had obtained.
Did you ever view any surveillance video in regards to this case?
Yes.
And where did you view this footage? Do you remember?
It was a neighboring, like a older folks living that their cameras point towards the parking lot.
So I want to show you, because the video's been playing in the background, it's 16:04:10. I want to show you, what are you currently doing with Miss Lewis?
I had gathered her information and then she gave me a description of what occurred. And then now she's, well, after this is where she leads me to where everything went down.
So right now you're walking around to go to where generally she's taking you.
Yes.
I'm fast forwarding right now to about 16:07:19. Is this where she took you?
Yes.
And what sort of area was this?
Parking lot near a dumpster and a pavilion.
Now, I paused the video at 16:08:19. I'm gonna approach with what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 3. What is this?
A copy of my body worn camera.
Is this the same video that we're viewing, or is it a different video?
I believe it's a different video.
And have you watched it on this disc before?
Yes.
How do you know?
Because I've signed and dated it.
And is this a fair and accurate copy of video that was recorded on your body cam from that date?
Yes, sir.
And aside from being muted, has it been altered in any way?
No, sir.
Your Honor, State would offer State's Exhibit number 3 into evidence.
No objections, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit number 3 is admitted without objection.
Permission to publish State's Exhibit number 3, Judge.
Granted.
So Officer Valadez, this video was taken not that long after the first video, correct?
Yes.
And what are you doing here?
We're in the management office of that older facility that I was telling you about, with one of the detectives. And this is where we're about to be shown the video of what happened.
Were you able to see the video?
Yes, sir.
And based off of what you had heard compared to the video, did it match up with what you were given previously?
Yes, sir.
And now, you weren't just involved with this case on this day, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So what else did you do in regards to this case?
The following day, I drove around my area in the complex, looking for the suspect, and I was able to locate his vehicle.
And did you report that you found the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And did you stay with the vehicle while it was being processed?
Yes, sir.
And after that, was that the end of your involvement with this case?
Yes, sir.
What type of car did you locate? Do you remember?
Yes, sir.
What type was it?
It was a red Chrysler 300 with red rims.
And how is that relevant?
We were informed that that was the vehicle belonging to the suspect.
Pass the witness.
Defense.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Officer Christian, or it's Valadez, I believe, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Adam LaHood, defense attorney. Just have a few questions for you, okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Were you, if you remember, were you the second or third officer on the scene that day? Do you remember which order you were?
I believe if I had to bet, I think I was the fourth officer.
Okay. If you don't know exactly, that's fine,
Yeah.
but you weren't the first responding officer, is that
No,
correct?
sir. No.
You didn't witness any shooting, did you?
No, sir.
You were there to collect, I guess, witness identification, possibly witness statements, but you weren't a witness to any offense that may or may not have occurred. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
You said the very next day you located a vehicle that you believe you tied to Mr. Dixon. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
After finding the vehicle, what happened after that?
We called a record to come tow the vehicle. I had to follow it down to 9th Street to be relinquished custody to our CSI unit. They took custody of it and I left it with them.
You said down to 9th Street, and I think you answered this, but that's where y'all's CSI division is located?
Yeah, that's where we take the calls that are marked for evidence. Yes.
And I think everyone watches TV, but just for their clarification, can you tell us what CSI stands for?
I'm drawing a blank here, but they're our forensic unit that basically go and they process the scene, look for evidence, take fingerprints, stuff like that.
Crime scene investigation? Is that be?
There you go.
There
Thank
we
you.
go. That's all right. And you kind of answered my next question. They're the ones that would take and process for forensics, DNA, fingerprints,
Yes, sir.
whatever it might be.
Mhm.
All right. Did you have any contact with the vehicle after you dropped it off at 9th Street to CSI?
No, sir.
Did you have any follow-up with this case after locating the vehicle?
No, sir.
And you may have said, I'm sorry, you probably did say, I just don't remember. Where, if you recall, did you locate a red Chrysler at?
About 2 blocks away from where the call for the shooting came out in a parking lot.
So about 2 parks away from East Meadows?
Yes, yes, sir. Still within the property though.
So, okay, and that's what I was trying to clarify. So it was on the East Meadows property, but just in a different parking lot?
Yes, sir.
Is this a fairly big apartment complex?
Yes, sir.
Just 1 second, sir. Officer, just a few more follow-ups. You had mentioned something that you had report responsibility, I believe. Do you remember saying that?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by that exactly?
So it goes a couple different ways, but since the call came out in my area, generally we'll take report responsibility if it's in your area. And I assumed report responsibility because the initial officers were busy applying aid. They didn't really get the best understanding, so I was able to get a better description of what might have occurred.
I see. So is it fair to say that if you take report responsibility, you're taking charge at that moment?
Yes.
And seeking people out or
Yes, sir.
talking or whatever?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Thank you, officer. Your Honor, we'll pass witness.
Nothing from the state, Judge.
Is this witness excused or subject for recall?
The defense has no problem excusing this witness.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of defense. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you'll leave your report with the court reporter.